Hey there, Super Friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Wednesday, December 27th, 2017. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow. Or you can always reach out directly with an email to lastpointgaming@gmail.com. You can also now subscribe to us on YouTube. So, I'm running so late this morning, but luckily there's pretty much nobody in my office, so as long as I put in my time. So yesterday we talked about the dual decks going away and these challenger decks, more about what we need from the challenger deck if they hope to see it be successful. Because thus far over the years, the pre-constructed deck products just haven't been good. I wonder if I need an oil change. I bet I need an oil change. Sorry, the 20-degree weather is really hard on my car. Anyway, so, I'm not sure they really need to discontinue the dual decks. They're going to, because they're going to do what they feel is best here. And we may see them come back. I'm not even saying they really necessarily need to improve them. Just maybe drop the price on them. Because that's the thing. If you're like... Well, that's why people aren't buying them. There's no value in the deck. Dual decks made for a fun product. Like I said yesterday, the handful that we have, aside from Zendikar versus Eldrazi, we never opened that one. Oh, God, why is it so cold? The handful that we have, we keep around for, let's play some Magic. Well, I don't have a deck, or I don't want to play against your decks, or, whatever. They were something kind of low power level that, made it fun. We could sit around and bullshit and chat and whatever while we played some Magic. Now, we don't really do that so much anymore. If we're going to do that, we play games like Mythos. I guess you can build aggressive Mythos decks that win by driving your opponents insane. That's how they win. But all the Mythos decks we played, the deck was designed to complete the requisite amount of story points. End of the day, there's still a winner, but it's more of, we each kind of sit there doing our thing while we interact and we chat and whatever. Oh, excuse me. Unfortunately, Magic, it kind of requires attacking. There's no other win con. So, we liked having these, powered down decks because they're all pretty evenly matched. Now, I think from the professor's video on dual decks, there were some over the years that weren't very evenly matched, that one deck had an extreme advantage. And that kind of sucks. But if you make them pretty even, then it's a fun product to pick up with your friends. You're you're just getting back into Magic or you play casually, like, they're fun to have around. I mean, I'm not terribly upset about them leaving. That may sound bad, but I'm not terribly attached to them. More of my concern comes from what are these challenger decks going to be like? Is this just going to be another failed product line? Also, Watsy, give me back my damn gift boxes, please. I don't like these gift packs. Okay, I think I'm going to have to turn up the heat, so I may have to compete with my car heater. It is just, it is really cold today. It's gross. Hopefully this afternoon it'll be warmer. But anyway, I went on at length yesterday about what we need from a product like this. You know, the event decks, I guess they considered that a failed product. And again, the concept of, you pick up this deck, you go into a modern or a standard event, you're going to be all right. They weren't. They weren't great. They weren't even really good. And again, a lot of it comes down to the fact that there's no 4-ofs of anything in these decks. So the deck is terribly inconsistent. So it'd be nice if it's like, well, this is the shell of, this top tier deck. It's missing the power. Here's some more budget options. And, if you can pull off a couple wins each week, you can bank some credit. Now, the problem with doing this in standard is then when rotation hits, everything you worked for there is gone. Like with Kaladesh in the format, I'm kind of wishing we stuck to the shorter rotation span. Because, God, I just want that block gone. But for the most part, a shorter rotation span in standard becomes very costly to most standard players. Because not much of your deck usually makes it through rotation. And you always run the risk of, well, okay, I only lost a couple cards, but they're key cards for making the deck work. Without them, the deck just doesn't work. So I have to go on to something completely different. Like humans. There's still humans left in the format. You could build a human tribal deck, but you have no payoff anymore since Thalia's Lieutenant's gone. There's no real tribal synergy in humans. I mean, you still have Metallic Mimic, and now you have the Unclaimed Territories, but aside from that, you're better off going with any of the other tribes that still have support. I'm hoping they firm up the tribal strategies with Rivals, because that was the other thing. I was so excited about this really tribal-oriented set because I really enjoy tribal decks. But there's just no good payoff cards. None of the tribes have everything they need to stand. Like, Simic Merfolk is close. If they print a low-ish mana cost Merfolk Lord, that deck's gonna be great. That deck is so close to being good. But like dinosaurs, even with playing some of the lower cost stuff to kind of protect you in the early game, there's some good dinosaurs, mostly Carnage Tyrant. And Carnage Tyrant is seeing some play at the top end of some decks, but everything else is kind of lackluster. And if energy weren't still in, would these be better? I don't even know, honestly. Energy is really skewing the field, though. I don't think that mechanic necessarily was a bad idea, totally. I think the fact that there's just no depletion of energy. No spells that remove it, no, like I'd said before, even if they, had these creatures like Bristling Hydra enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. When Bristling Hydra leaves the battlefield, you lose 3 energy. Just something that you can't just sit there and bank this forever. Oddly enough, the most balanced energy card seems to be Long Tusk Cub. That it doesn't just give you energy when it enters, you gotta do something to get it. I guess Glint Sleeve Siphoner, I think you get 2 when it enters the battlefield. But, the fact that it has to attack to replenish the energy pool, just anything like that. But when, your early game is full of, well, I'm just going to build up the energy pool, and, okay, you're going to use your kill spells on the rest of these things. That's alright, because by the time I land a Bristling Hydra, I'm going to have 9 energy. So I'm going to be able to protect it 3 times. I don't know. It's just... Even the Whirler Virtuoso. Okay, well, I'm going to fry it with the energy on the stack. Alright, that's cool. I'll just play another one later. I'll still have that 3 energy. Because, that's the thing. When, you have turn 1 attune with Aether. Turn 2, Aether Hub. Well, now, when you play your Bristling Hydra, I don't really have an opportunity to kill it. It's going to take 2 kill spells. Now, Harness Lightning, I don't think that card's necessarily broken. You can get a pretty big energy pool and use it as a removal spell for pretty much anything. But I still, okay, that kind of makes sense. Because you still gotta use it. You're only gonna get that big kill shot off once. But when you combine it with all these other things, it just, I don't mean to keep bitching about that mechanic, but God, it's just a little off from being balanced, but in its current iteration, it's just not balanced. Especially when, now it's nice we're getting a new Edict card, but at the same time, sacrifice half your creatures. Okay, well, I'll sacrifice the crappy half. I like more of the cards that it's like, okay, well, sacrifice your most powerful creature. Your creature with the highest power. Like Crackling Doom was back in cons. Stuff like that get around the hexproof Like, I don't think hexproof is inherently the worst ever. I think if it gets overused, it gets bad. But yeah, bristling hydras, there's just so few ways to actually deal with them other than countering them. And that's the thing. The only way to really stop energy production is counterspells. Not killing things or anything else. You know, blue has the only power against... I mean, you got board wipes, you know. We have Fumigate. And that's kind of nice, but... And Settle the Wreckage. Though, Settle the Wreckage, that card's not as good as I think people think it is. I know, as a red player, people think that it's great to get that card off against me. Like, oh, you're going to be out of gas. Well, no, because this red deck isn't a true aggro deck. And the amount of times a Settle the Wreckage has kind of turned my deck on because I've been stuck on lands. Or I could crack Bomat Couriers in response. Nah, that card, it's a pretty big downside to it being a one-sided board wipe. So, I don't know what to expect from these challenger decks. If they follow their history of precon decks, they're not going to be great. I mean, WotC does obviously care about the secondary market. I don't think we can really deny that.
Call rejected.
As much as they may try to deny it. And they do kind of have to care about it. Because again, the thing that almost killed the game way back in the day was reprinting valuable cards at an excessive rate. Because now there's no reason to invest. You know, when you paid, like, I know I was kind of annoyed when Battle for Zendikar came out, because I had just bought Sylvan Scryings for my Tron deck, and I paid like $5 a piece for them. And here they reprinted Sylvan Scrying at Uncommon. So you could pick up Sylvan Scryings for like $0.25. And I mean, that was a pretty low value loss for me. But at the same time, as somebody, you know, trying to break into Modern, you know, I was super excited to see Horizon Canopy and Iconic Masters. Because there was no way I was paying $85 a piece for this stupid land that I didn't even think was that great. It's like, when I played Tron, I didn't play Grove of the Burn Willows. I wasn't paying for them. And yeah, it did make my Tron deck slightly less effective. I ran Stomping Grounds instead. The red-green Shockland, which put my win percentage against Burn quite a bit lower, because Tron's well, Tron used to be a pretty slow deck. Seems like it's gotten some upgrades, especially with Eldrazi Tron. Oh. So yeah, I don't know. I want these challenger decks to be good. I would really love to see a product that, you roll into F&M, you're getting back into the game after being out for, 2 years. You just pick it up and get a feel for the new environment, that you can, do okay with it. But I have my doubts that they're going to pull that off. And I do agree with the professor. It would be nice to see a modern version of this. But I will say, with the master sets and everything, it does make modern more attainable. The more they reprint these high-end cards, like, I really hope to see a Karn reprinting here soon. He's long overdue for it. Because at the end of the day, tournament wins shouldn't be based on the size of your wallet. I talked before about how in the last Pro Tour, I think it was the last one, I don't know, time's kind of slippery, seeing Sam Illenfelt break into the top 8, this completely unknown, out of nowhere, nobody's heard this guy's name before. Because you don't often see it. You watch enough Pro Tour top 8s, you start seeing the same cycle of names. They're the people who do this professionally. Their access to cards is much higher. They have all the time to grind out playtesting and everything. And, I don't begrudge them that. Like I've said before, when you can find a way to make your passion profitable, hey, that's great. That's living the dream right there. But at the same time, you're not seeing much new blood in there, and that's not going to encourage people to grind for the Pro Tour. It's going to be like, oh, great. Yeah, I'll get... After all this work, I get my invite to the Pro Tour, and I'm going to scrub out day one because I'm in a field full of professional players. But that's all I got today. I'm at work now. I'll do another cast this afternoon, and then that may be the last one this week, unless I can find time to fit in another one. But this is my last day at work for the week, so as always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you all this afternoon.